How do you know if a horse is bleeding? Well, the only truly true way you can know is if you do an endoscope on them 2 hours after performance. And the endoscope goes up the nose, goes down the throat, and then it looks into the lungs, and it can tell you if there's bleeding. Now, a lot of people do not have access to a veterinarian within 2 hours of competing. So, and sometimes I'm one of them. So what I like to do is I look for the symptoms that indicate a horse is a bleeder. And some of those symptoms would be not wanting to go in willingly, not turning the barrels correctly, not wanting to, and a lot of times they won't finish strong. They'll run pretty good to the first one, pretty good to the second one. By the third one, they're not running as hard and they can't run out. A lot of times you will not actually see blood coming out of the nostril. To be a bleeder, you do not have to see the blood. It can be leaking back into the lungs. And truly, the only way you can truly tell is if you do the endoscope. But I like to use the patch as a preventative because I think most horses have a tendency to bleed. I think 60 to 70% of race horses they have said are bleeders, so I see no difference. The barrel racing industry, the horses wouldn't be any different. This is Snowball, and she is a 5-year-old barrel racing horse that I competed at the fraternities this last winter. She got sick this winter with a respiratory infection, and I know the Equipatch works because when she was coughing and she was sick with the respiratory illness, I had her scoped and there was no blood in her trachea. So that means that even in spite of the respiratory infection, she was not bleeding. So that is a very good indicator that the patch works. This is Bully's Bad Betty. She's also a 5-year-old barrel racing horse that's entered in the fraternities. And I wanted to give you an example of a horse that I would use as a preventative measure. This mare has a half-sister that I know was a bleeder. Her mother had a lot of respiratory problems and different things, so we know it's a genetic thing. So rather than take a chance on this horse bleeding, I used preventative measures. I did the patches on her. I never took a chance on her bleeding. I just did the patches on her so when I started her in competition. And she's never bled to my knowledge.